Everyone agrees, if Pikachu EX is not the best deck in Pokemon Pocket, it is at the lowest number 2. But what everyone doesn't agree on is how to build the deck. So let's take a look at all of the different builds of Pikachu EX and the upsides and downsides of each of them. In brief, Pikachu EX is a deck that revolves around the card Pikachu EX, which requires you to have a lot of basic Pokemon in the deck in order to get the ability to actually happen at its highest capacity. This is an attack circle circuit that can do 90 damage for only 2 energy. This is unprecedentedly good. Only Starmie EX has similar numbers, and Pikachu EX has the type advantage there. This is also further bolstered by the fact that electric Pokemon have some of the most diverse and interesting characteristics in the entire game. This means that there's a lot of different options for what you want as your backline strategy when you play a deck built around Pikachu EX. The easiest starting point is with Electrode and Voltorb. Electrode's free retreat makes this deck in a vacuum the most obvious build of the list to play. It allows the deck to go late and invalidate various Sabrina plays that people can play against you for tempo, play aggressively both early and late, for example starting with a Voltorb, but then using the evolution into Electrode to retreat out and get a Pikachu EX in, attacking earlier without the need for X speed. You'll notice an Electabuzz here. That's because the 7th slot among the basics here is going to be almost always dedicated to whatever one of you feel like playing. In almost all of these decks, and I'll note where this isn't true, it can be something like Pincurchin, or really just anything you feel is a reasonable option here. Electrode and Voltorb are the baseline. I think when most people think of Pikachu EX, they think of this version because it is one of the more simple and easy to play and straightforward and harder to mess up builds of the deck. But it does have a notable weakness, and this is actually something that I didn't grasp as a weakness until I played a lot of this deck, which is it doesn't have a way to do 30 damage for 1 energy. And in a deck where your main hitter has 120 HP and does 90 damage, that can actually be pretty damaging when it comes to trying to win the mirror matchup. That brings us to the Blitzle build of the deck. Blitzle and Zebstrika allow you to actually do that 30 damage. In a world where you're actually trading off for your opponent's Pikachu, you will be able to revenge kill the Pikachu with a Zebstrika, doing 30, and you'll be able to do that even if their Pikachu is on the bench. Now, for obvious reasons, 90 plus 30 tends to be like a fairly important breakpoint, not just for opposing Pikachu EXs, but even for things like basic Mewtwo sitting on the bench, walling you. That's actually a really hard thing to deal with a lot of the time. That kind of stuff being vulnerable to Blitzle's attack is notable, and it is important, and why this list has taken over as perhaps the most played variation of the deck. Blitzle's ability is not necessarily, I think in a vacuum, Electrode is a better Pokemon than Blitzle. It does more damage, it has a free retreat. In a vacuum, I think I can understand why that matters. In the context of the metagame, having that 1 energy 30 is actually shockingly important, no pun intended. And the ability to hit at things on the back line is a major part of what makes Blitzle a relevant upgrade over something like Electrode, even though the numbers on Electrode are generally superior to the numbers on Blitzle. Another note about how this deck tends to play out, almost always Zapdos EX is included in them. Zapdos EX is one of the major reasons why this deck makes a ton of sense, because it's not just that it's a great Pokemon, it's also that it's a very solid elite basic. And Pikachu EX really needs a certain amount of basics because it really wants your back line to be full in order to activate Full Circle Circuit. Having one of those basics be Zapdos EX, which is just baseline one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, a very good early poker that has a 1 retreat cost for some insane reason, that can even scale up into a Roaring Thunder sweeper. Zapdos EX is absolutely phenomenal, and this is probably a good time also to talk about Little Zapdos. We've talked about how there is just one slot in all of these decks for the 7th basic. Here, it's Pincurchin. Normal Zapdos is actually a pretty good option there, too. A little bit pricier in terms of what you're going to have to pay to attack with it, but it is a fairly unique beater that you can definitely try in the deck. Finally, the Raichu builds, and I find these actually the most varied. There are a couple of different ways to approach having Raichu in your deck, but first, it's probably worth talking about why we would want Raichu in our deck. 140 damage is really, really big. This will beat every single Pokemon in the mirror in one hit. Zapdos EX, gone. Pikachu EX, gone. It will do the same thing to things like Articuno EX, a very relevant threat. And even with a Giovanni, it'll even hit a Mewtwo EX and put him out of commission as well. This is an extremely relevant breakpoint to hit. And for that reason, Raichu has been my favorite of the builds for Pikachu EX because of that relevant breakpoint. You are very often vulnerable when it comes to playing a Pikachu EX deck to decks that are built to beat the base output of Pikachu EX. Decks that are going to put up walls that take multiple hits to get through from a Pikachu EX because it's really only doing 90. And decks that are able to have big threats that take multiple hits to get through from a Pikachu EX like a Mewtwo. And this kind of stuff is what makes Raichu so relevant right now. I actually think that on balance, the Raichu build is like the worst of the builds in a vacuum. It is not a deck that would be needed to be used if this stuff wasn't happening in the metagame. Basically, because Pikachu EX baseline is so good, one of the best ways to build against it is to go taller than it can actually get through. And so Raichu gives you an answer to the people who are trying to go above and beyond your actual ability to hit stuff and kill it in one hit. Raichu is very often also played with at least one Lieutenant Surge. There are also builds of the Raichu version that use Magneto. I'm a Marvel Snap player. I'm sorry. That use Magnemite and Magneton. Use Magnemite and Magneton, and they are there in theory to charge up your Raichu with Lieutenant Surge. I have found that they are not useful enough. That's a cool thing to do in theory, but ultimately I prefer just actually having access to Raichu. So this is the build of the deck that I played, and I was very happy with it, but I will make one note that I almost feel like maybe it's possible that we could have a one of Raichu, and maybe get something else in here. I feel like this is the kind of thing where it's like, maybe we can splash the Raichu. Maybe we don't need to fully devote ourselves to the Raichu. The deck still does draw a lot of cards, as do almost every deck in Pokemon Pocket, and so I think it's possible that the future of this deck might be like a hybrid, a hybridization. You take the Blitzle deck and you have a Pikachu and a Raichu in it, and that's just enough. Maybe that works. Maybe it works with the Voltorb version. I think it's an important piece of this metagame right now, having access to Raichu, but I'm not positive exactly how much we need to index for it. Because if you ever start a game with 2 Raichus in your opening hand, it's awful. It's so bad. You never want to see 2 of them, especially because you care so much about basics being on the board. So I'm starting to wonder if it's possible. Maybe we do like 1 Raichu, maybe we fiddle around with the trainers, we figure out what's supposed to go there, and I think that's a really interesting direction to take this deck, because you need the capacity, no pun intended, to deal with the big stuff that your opponents are going to play because this deck is so good at baseline. But I don't know if you need to over-index for it. I think you just need to have it available to you so you can blow them out when it's necessary. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching this far in the video. We're about to jump into some gameplay of me with the Raichu Pikachu EX deck. Let me know in the comments what your favorite build of Pikachu EX is and why. Thanks so much, as always. I've been KM Best, aka KM Pocket. I'll see you in the next one. My style. When are the new packs dropping? I think in 2 weeks. Whoa, this is an awkward hand. Oof. I mean, I'm glad we have this. Because otherwise, we'd be kind of awkwardly positioned. Whoa. Okay. Greninja, Bruxish, Weezing. Weezing, as always, a very dangerous card for us to go up against. The X speed is quite useful here, I believe. But we are in danger of just absolutely bricking here, I think. We could be in some trouble. They have drawn a lot of cards. That's tough. Okay, now we're in much less danger of literally bricking and much more danger of just getting super Weezinged. Because, like, look at this. I mean, this is just heinous. We run so many basic Pokemon. We haven't seen a Pokeball or anything. It's bad. It's definitely bad. Alright, let's see what we can do. That's really good. Okay, let's go for a Prof's research here. Let's go Zapdos down. I don't know if I want to commit this Pikachu. I do want to X speed this one out. Having every little bit of energy counts. Oh, I think it's possible I am supposed to play this Pikachu. Definitely kind of an awkward situation. Both of us kind of spinning our wheels here, for sure. They evolve into Frogadier. I'd imagine their hand involves, like, Greninja at this point. Like, Kogas and Greninjas, probably. That's what we'd like to see. So... I don't think I have a chance of getting through this. Is there a world where I'm supposed to Sabrina right now? I don't believe so. They're gonna start Greninja-ing us, and that's hard to deal with, to be blunt with you. They definitely have that. Yep. Yeah. It's not my favorite situation to be in. Water Shuriken. The Pikachu. Huh. Alright. I respect it. So we blow this up. It'll do 70 if they decide to hit it with the Greninja. But they're probably going to aim for the Pikachu here. If they don't aim for the Pikachu... Whoa, wait, why wouldn't they? Oh, it's just stalling. Oh, it's just stalling. I'm not afraid of that at all. I'm not afraid of that at all. They're like, oh, I'll get rid of his basics. Buddy, I run so many basics. Retreat here, get this back in, play out the Pincurchin. Let's circle, circuit your Bruxish. It goes away. And I've got a Giovanni for your Greninja. I've taken 2 prizes. What are you doing? You can't keep stalling. There's no possible ability to keep stalling here. I'm with it. What are you gonna Koga? Uh-huh. That's awesome. Pincurchin is just the most unique of those. Why did Voltorb Electro get phased out? Electrode and Voltorb are awesome in a vacuum. The reason Raichu is better is because of the specifics. Like, in a world where other people didn't exist and all that mattered was playing the perfect version of your deck, I would be playing Voltorb Electro. But having a 140 nuke for Raichu is just a very... Why am I always... I do hate that I'm drawing him all the time, but I would hate that, I guess, if I was drawing anything all the time, right? But having access to that nuke at doing 140, and that's 150 with the Giovanni, like, you have 0 cards that can deal with a Mewtwo. Actual 0 cards that can one-shot a Mewtwo EX, except Raichu Giovanni. None. And just having the bare ability to do that is so crucial. Having the ability to one-shot Moltres EX. Having the ability to one-shot Articuno EX. Having the ability to one-shot opposing Zapdos EX. Opposing Pikachu EX. It's so important. And I would love to still be playing Voltorb Electrode. I really would. It's awesome. Like, I'm a big fan of doing that. It's sick as hell. But I don't really think I have the ability to make that call. It's just a sick as hell combination of cards. Voltorb Electrode is awesome. I've got full art Electrodes. I would love to be doing it. I would. I love them too. I really do. I wish I could even slightly justify it. But I like the metagame considerations are just unfortunately too relevant. Like, I love them. I wish I could play them. But the way people try to beat this deck is by just going taller. And you need something that can just blow some shit up. Oh, my opponent is using a normal Mewtwo to stall. They're fucking not anymore. Like, I wish it wasn't like this. To quote Marlowe Stanfield, you think it's one way, but it's the other way. Second, but only this... Oh, no, this hand is ridiculous. We have Pokeball and Professor's Research. Dude. Ooh! I really hope they win, honestly. I would really like to play what they're playing. The Weezing Nidoking thing. I want that to be good really bad. I'm really excited for this matchup because that's a really fascinating deck that I really like. Okay. Pokeball. Crofts Research. Geo's interesting. Let's go like this. And the Zap EX. And play around a red card, basically. $110, the breakpoint on Weezing, is genuinely pretty devastating. That's kind of interesting. We definitely send in a Zap EX. They're giving themselves an extra turn to draw a Weezing. That play says I don't have a Weezing. If we have an X speed, we can maybe just win the game right here. We don't have an X speed, so we have to wait an extra turn, and they get their effective turn to draw a Weezing. We're gonna go to Raichu here and Peck, and then next turn we are set up to, if they do go into Weezing, it will be at 90, and we can bring the Pikachu EX out, right? Because it's like, you know, that they did the right stuff here. But unless they have a potion as well, we are going to be able to get through thanks to the 20 that we slapped on with the Zap EX. They don't have a potion, and so their play ends up not mattering. It delayed things a turn, but not functionally. Actually, we should draw for an X speed first. Didn't get it, but, you know, fair enough. Retreat out the Zap EX. It is no longer poisoned. Put in Pikachu EX. Weezing goes away. Circle Circuit. What a fascinating card. And if they didn't have the earlier Weezing, it sort of stands to reason that they probably don't have a second one, but it's possible they draw it, of course. There's a lot of card draw in this game. I gotta tell you, I like this genuinely more than I like the immersive. I just love how it looks. Sabrina. All right, it's going to be for the other Zap EX this time. The retreat costs of Pokemon in this deck are so minimal that it just doesn't. It just stops mattering at some point, right? Like, they've already lost the game. It's been over. There's just so little they can do about the things happening here. Our retreat costs are just too cheap, and our power is just too high. And I don't think Nidoran has 110 HP, or Nidorino. And the only way they could win is if Nidorino did. You know, I said I was rooting for them, and then I, like, ruthlessly dream crushed. Sad. I like it more than I like myself. Wow. Like, look at a hand like this. Born to play Voltorb, forced to be KM Best. Alright, well, I hope I don't get Misty. I actually think, because of potential Misty Starmie things, and because I have this X speed in hand, I'm supposed to build up the Pikachu EX on the back. Yeah, see? Fair enough. I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world. Please don't Giovanni me with this next turn. What app are you using for this on PC? I play LD Player. I'm leaving myself open to the Giovanni here. Shit happens is basically my logic. I think I can't fully play around that. Oh my god, they lost the game. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, I was worried, but I mean, yikes, right? All right, first of all, we play the top deck one. They haven't conceded yet, which is insane. Yeah, I can't speak to BlueStacks. Is this app better? I mean, I use it.